She has the right to vote. If she is denied this right in certain Muslim countries, that tradition is un-Islamic, does not stem from the spirit of the Quran, the teachings of the Quran. She has the right to political participation. She has the right to economic contribution. No field, no career, no job is closed in her face unless it interferes with her value, with her dignity. At that time it would be forbidden, haram. I can elaborate on these subjects. We don't have time for them. Today's lecture is about gender equality in Islam. We have to provide answers for our friends. First of all, for ourselves. To know what is the reality. What is the truth in Islam. What does Islam say about men and women relationship? What is her role? What is her contribution? What does Quran say about her role in this life? When we read the Holy Quran, we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the relationship between men and women. Allah says, وَمِن كُلِّ شَيْءٍ خَلَقْنَا زَوْجَيْنِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَذَكَّرُونَ in Surah Al-Dhariyat. In Surah Yasin, سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون. This is the universal order which is based on mating, spousing, being together, male and female, positive and negative. Of course, negative are you and positive are them. This is the universal order. Men and women are a small part of this universal order. They are no exception. This is why there is a natural need. Marriage is not a luxury. I will talk about marriage one night, inshallah. I'm dedicating one theme about marriage, maybe on the eve of the 8th. I'll discuss it at that time. But marriage is a necessity for both. A lady comes to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. She says, Ya Rasulallah, or to Imam al-Sadiq. She says, Yabna Rasulullah, I decided to remain single for the rest of my life. Imam turns to her and he says to her, why? Why single? She says, because this is closer to Allah. I don't want to get involved in, certain acts, physical acts. It's more, honorable for me to stay away from them. Imam al-Sadiq said to her, if these acts, you call them bad acts, bad physical acts, if they were horrible, then my grandmother Fatima al-Zahra would have remained single. Allah wants you to do that. In the eyes of Allah, these things are mandatory, obligatory on you within marriage, in the context of marriage. This is how you evolve. This is how you develop yourself. With whom do you practice your generosity and kindness if you don't have a family, if you don't have a husband, if you don't have a wife, if you don't have children? With whom? This is a sacred mission. The institution of family is very sacred and holy in Islam. And there is a natural tendency, natural propensity to mate with the opposite gender. This is part of faith. This is what God designed for you. You cannot go against Allah's desire and Allah's design. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, one is a protection for the other, is a garment for the other. One fulfills the need of love and tenderness and mercy for each other. There is a real need. If the marriage is right, of course, if the marriage goes right. I remember a few years ago I had a friend who came to the Islamic Center and he said to me, Sayyid, you've been telling me for a long time to get married. Get married, get married, get married. I did. But Sayyid, marriage is a big headache. Marriage is bad. I said, why it's bad? He said, because I have a problem with my mother-in-law. I told him, listen, I told you to get married, not to go on a quarrel with your mother-in-law. Marriage is good. Then I told him, listen to this story. Someone from England emailed me this story about the mother-in-law. An American man went with his wife and his mother-in-law to Jerusalem for pilgrimage, Hajj. While they were in Jerusalem, his mother-in-law unfortunately died. So he decided to ship her back to America. He was confused. He didn't know what to do. There in Jerusalem, they proposed to him that it's much cheaper if you bury her here in this holy land. It costs you $200 to bury her here. If you want to ship her back to America, it costs you $20,000. Look at the difference. So it's very wise to bury her here. This is a holy land. The man thought for a second, then he raised his head. He said to the undertaker, he said to him, listen, I decided to take her back to America, to ship her back. He said, but you have to pay $20,000 for that. He said, yes. He said, you are stupid. Here it costs you $200 and you would pay $20,000 to ship her back? He said, yes. Because 2,000 years ago, Jesus died and he was buried here, but 3 days later he was resurrected. So I don't want to take chances. But this is not the case. Certainly this is not the case. This is not the case. Islam says family is not a union between two individuals. It's a union between two families, two groups. They all become your family. Therefore, her role is important. The role of mothers, of our wives, is not just to provide physical food, physical sustenance. Her spiritual role is much more important. She is to protect our children, our young generation, to provide moral, ethical protection. The ethical well-being of the family is much more important than the physical well-being. And that role is assigned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to females. Because females, women, Allah has endowed them with a huge gift. Many of them don't realize it and don't appreciate it. The gift of motherhood. The gift of providing compassion, love, tenderness. This dosage of love and tenderness is not found in the pharmacy, is not found in the drugstore, is not found in the lab, is not found anywhere. It's only found in your mother's heart. And you get it there, only there. That is the only source. That is the only source. This institution of motherhood is very important. Although, unfortunately, during this time, our era today, the admiration for this institution has fallen, plummeted down. People do not want to be called mothers. She does not like this title. But it is very important, very sanctified. Her responsibility is huge. In fact, brothers and sisters, our children, they inherit their mother's character. Their mother's character. Look at all those successful people around you. What is the secret of their success? It's not only because they are talented. Look at their families. Look at their mothers. And look at the deviant people. Most of them, they were deprived from the compassion, from the love, from the mercy of motherhood. And today, I would like to tell you that